In light of the somewhat recent news that they are no longer making Rocksmith 2014 DLC, I figured it was time to do the Rocksmith 2014 Remastered review. I have some history with this one. I never see many people judging its qualities as a game. People love to talk about if it could teach you guitar. Yes, the answer is yes. It can teach you guitar. It can also do bass. But how effective is it as a video game that is controlled by a guitar? And what is it like? That is what I am looking at today, and in the process I hope to cover everything that is in the game. Another comprehensive review. If you just want to know whether it is worth purchasing in place of a real guitar teacher or not, I think that answer is hell yeah. You may be able to learn a lot. Whereas a real teacher will probably give you exercises and shit that bore the living hell out of you, Rocksmith will teach you songs by the artists that you want to learn. That is the real advantage here. It can also be a hell of a time. I'm going to have some really quick tips for learning guitar at the end of the video, and you'll find timecode markers in the description to skip to that if you're already sold or just interested. For the rest of you, let's get started.
Rocksmith.
That voice is your new dad. He's a disappointed father. He just wants you to play at your best. He will give you less than helpful comments at the end of your song performances.
Disappointing
Hey,
performance.
fuck you! But dad represents a no-shit AI that is learning about your skill level as you play. We will talk about difficulty options in a bit. Alright, now I'm gonna grind the pace of this video to a halt to explain this cable situation. Gear! Oh god, this cable. So, if you want to access and get the most from the features of the game, you're probably gonna need a Rocksmith cable. You can only really order them online anymore, and by all accounts they don't last very long. After a few months, the cable will obviously work worse than a brand new one, and your Rocksmith experience can become pretty frustrating pretty quick. So, taking the advice from the top rating on Amazon, use an adapter and a big boy cable. That way you don't put wear on your prissy little Ubisoft one. I personally have to use a really sturdy cable because I play this Mitchell, and the guy who was routing the input did a big drugs before he decided where to put it. If I plugged the Rocksmith cable into this output, I'm sure I'd kill it in no time. But this setup works well and should extend the life of the cable. Sadly though, your instrument is going to matter a bit. When I try playing my bass with passive pickups, it tells me to make sure I'm using a bass guitar. Well, fuck me, thanks for the reminder. But the worse your gear, the worse Rocksmith is going to think of you. Upgrading my guitar and making sure everything is set up beautifully is the difference between getting good responses from Rocksmith or making me fucking mad when it tells me I'm wrong even though I know I'm right. And just a quick note, DR even makes a set of strings colored in order like Rocksmith, if you are really struggling to visualize things. They're pretty awesome. But in short, and back on point, you can play Rocksmith with any electric guitar, but you'll find that better guitars just work better. Rocksmith doesn't like guitars with personality. It can't even tell. It's looking for a pure, clean note, because it's a robot. So you'll need the cable and a decent guitar to get started. There's another option if you play strictly acoustic only. Then you can input to Rocksmith by a mic. It seems to be USB mics only, and still does not unlock all of the features, such as tones. But it'll unlock pretty much everything else, even session mode. I tried it out for this video, and I was pretty skeptical. But once everything was set up, it really worked. I'd say it's close to as good as the real tone cable. But the mic and everything that I was using cost probably 3 times what the cable costs. It's still one of my shitter mics though, and it worked well for me, even with Rocksmith's volume rather loud. So mic use with acoustic guitars, even rather shitty ones, mics or guitars, is certainly an option, if you'd prefer to take that route and know how to mic a guitar. It might even work to mic a really clean tone coming out of an electric guitar amp, but I didn't try that. You could also use disconnected mode if you only want to use Learn a Song. We will talk about that. Now that all that's out of the way, let's start the review at the main menu. Learn a Song! This is what I use the most. It's the ability to choose a song from the list and just play along with it. This is arguably most of the game for a lot of us, so that's why we're going to skip it for now and go over the other things. Session mode. Session mode is a lot of fun. You choose some instruments and settings for what you want to play, and it will actively make a background song for you to create a solo over. You have to play the shown notes on the scale to get a response from the band, but it is really good scale practice as a result. It's a fantastic way to just sit down with your guitar and chill on them scales. I think it's weird that the devs didn't add an option to record clips to save for later listening pleasure, but maybe there's some weird things with copyright or something. Overall, it's a fun novelty. You could certainly spend hours of your life here. Nonstop play. Perhaps the best thing for practice once you get to be able to sight read the songs, Nonstop play lets you play song after song with a minimal break in between, if you choose all songs in the same tuning. Otherwise, you'll be wasting time tuning in between every song. But it's good practice nonetheless, somewhat replicating the pace of live performances. Obviously, it'd be hard to replicate a live performance while I'm sitting here alone in my house, but still. Lessons. These are best for the absolute beginners among us, and has really helpful basics for everybody. My only complaint is that there is no way to skip them in terms of the missions, and sitting through them for the second time just to get the handful of songs can be rather horrible. That is much more a complaint about the progression system than these lessons though. Some of them can drag, but it is basic and simple enough for anybody, and that's important. But wait, did I say progression? Yeah! As you prove to Dad that you know what you're doing, he will reward you with more songs to play and other stuff, like venue sizes or guitar inlays. Again, we will cover that in a bit. Back to lessons. There's truly a ton of stuff here, and it is well worth the time that they spent on it. Some of them are more helpful than others, perhaps, but just having a big catalog of lessons means a lot. I'm so positive about them because it seems like an adherence to the principles of the education game. Not cashing in on DLC or selling shit, just trying to genuinely teach people how to make noises on guitar. That heart in the game is very important to me. Guitarcade. This is a super interesting aspect of Rocksmith 2014 that maybe isn't talked about as much. It's a bunch of mini games controlled by guitar that are designed to trick you into being a better player. Some of them do that better than others. Each of them has challenges and leaderboards, oh boy! Let's go over them really quick, sorted by complexity. Gone Wailin. Gone Wailin is basically the game version of the calibration that it makes you do. You don't even have to tune for it, I don't think. You play louder to lift the dude and get coins, while avoiding obstacles. I found it worked a lot better when I would mute things with 2 fingers as to not unintentionally make harmonics. Overall, it's a fine starter, I guess. Nothing particularly special to me, but mildly engaging. String Skip Saloon. Good thing then that the next one is pretty good. You pick a string to pick a lane to fire down, and you lose once one of the naughty cowmen get to your bar.
Ranch is under siege, under lockdown. U.S. Marines are gonna fuck range cowboy butts.
String Skip Saloon is actually a lot of fun and helps a lot in getting used to Rocksmith. A lot of my friends who aren't used to it yet complain that they don't know which string is which color. This, and maybe those DR strings, helps immensely with that. It also helps with intuitively picking the right strings. It's also rather fun. Ducks Redux. This one has a nice tone. Just thought I'd mention it. Ducks Redux will train you to get faster around the fretboard on one string by having you shoot ducks that pop up on the frets. Occasionally, a rainbow duck will appear, and you shoot that duck to switch strings and reset the timer wall. It is not bad practice when getting introduced to Rocksmith, but it can be unfortunately pretty boring. Ninja Slide N. This one can be temperamental. I've had issues with it for years, and just recently had good games with it. Even then I had some detection issues. Regardless, Ninja Slide N is about escaping a timer wall by sliding your character between frets. If you time it right, you'll hit a ghost which will, you guessed it, switch your string and reset the kill wall. It's pretty fun, admittedly. Once I got over being so damn mad at it not working, I found a decent time to be had. And it will make you better at stopping your slides more accurately and knowing where you are on the fretboard without looking. Scale Warriors! This one had some work put into it. In Scale Warriors, you pick a scale set, and the game will make those scales into a grid. You then have this pseudo-action side-scroller thing based around hitting enemies by hitting the corresponding notes on the scales. It's kinda genius. It's not my style or the type of game I usually like, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. Different enemies will move across the scales in different ways, so when you're fighting a big group of multiple enemy types, the game will trick you into playing some pretty badass stuff. My only complaint is that the boss fights can be less than exciting. But whatever really, I like Communist Deadpool. All of these games seem like extra side content that we are somewhat lucky to see. But Scale Warriors stands out as a really good idea with a decent amount of execution behind it. All I can say is good job. Return to Castle Chordead. This might be why I wanted to do this review. God, it sucks. It's horrible. It looks horrible, it sounds horrible, but you know, it's not that bad. Cringy, yeah, a fair bit, but also rather compelling as a way to teach chords. To be fair, this is not the way that I learned chords, but I could certainly see someone using this game to get started. You choose your starting point on chords, then you set off to rip off games like House of the Dead. Similar to Scale Warriors, there are 5 levels, and things will get more complex as things go on. At the end of each level, there is a boss fight. The actual game itself consists of playing chords at zombies as an attack. Each zombie will require a different chord. The idea is that you'll start recognizing the chords by name and switch between them quickly. You'll blast zombies and bats and stuff to clear out the levels, all in the hopes of getting your girlfriend back. I know the effort was put into the mechanics and not the presentation here, so I almost want to excuse the voice acting and whatnot. But the boss fight could have been this. But instead it's this.
I'm done for.
Now it's my turn, you emo creep.
No!
She said he has the power of chords, but he doesn't play at you or anything. I really just don't get Castle Chordead, but you might like it, I guess.
Now it's my turn, you emo creep.
Hurdlin Hurdles. Hurdlin Hurdles is about hurdling hurdles. You're supposed to play quickly on one string to maintain your speed and stop playing to jump over hurdles. It works. A little bit. Not really. It certainly tries, but Rocksmith doesn't seem to recognize the difference in my playing speed. So the actual control that I have over the game is debatable. Even the jumping can be messy. Maybe this is all my personal experience only though. The idea behind this game is that you'll develop a better right hand technique. Temple of Bends. The Temple of Bends is a genius way to practice bending. The game starts you on one string and one fret, and you bend up from that fret to make a vine. Once the vine is long enough, usually a half step bend up or so, your character will climb it to move on to the next platform. The next platform will have its own fret on the same string, and now you have to bend on that fret. And this entire time, there's a timer kill wall coming for you. A nice touch is that it will go directionally based on which way you should be bending. On top of all of this, you can switch strings by bending up on the frets and string indicated by the colored jewels. This will reset the kill wall and switch strings as usual. It ends up being pretty involved and exciting. Overbending could be a real problem, making your guy take his time waiting for it to be the right length like a real lazy cunt. Overall, this is a great exercise. I remember when the temple hurt. It's not so bad anymore. PSA, if you're struggling with bending because your fingers are made of, say, human flesh, definitely do not start learning to mimic bends with slides or hammer-ons. That kind of cheating will get you thrown straight into the rock jail.
FBI, open up!
Scale Racer. Scale Racer is somewhat similar in structure to Scale Warriors, in that you pick a set of scales to play on. Then, the game starts you in a classic cop chase scenario. Hit the indicated notes on the scales to move your car throughout traffic quickly. Also, use off-ramps to move yourself and your scale up and down the frontboard. This is obviously just more scale practice, but it's delightful. You won't really catch me methodically practicing scales in my free time, because I'm a dummy. This game is a great way to encourage you to learn and experiment and try out new scales, all under the guise of a rather exciting car chase game.
Sammy, you're wrecking the car! Shut up!
Star Chords. Star Chords is most similar to Castle Chordead. Instead of being Castle Chordead though, this one is a much more standard sci-fi rail shooter. Since it's controlled by guitar, it is mostly based on reaction time rather than like aiming. It's like Chordead again in that way. But this game will just keep ramping up the speed and get you playing the chords faster. If I had to pick out of the two mechanically, I'd actually pick Castle Chordead as the better way to memorize the chords. But I also think that Star Chords is way cooler and funner to play. Take that as you will. Harmonic Heist. Last and certainly not least, Harmonic Heist has you using natural harmonics and timing to move through a museum and steal artifacts. You play the indicated harmonic to move spots, and you can play the harmonic repeatedly at masks for multiple gems and big points. But be careful, because the cops are here to get you too. You must listen to the footsteps of the guard, and judge whether to risk moving or stay where you are at any time. Also, you can only spend so long at an artifact before the cover will go away. This is another fun one. I have to admit I never even tried it before I was plenty used to natural harmonics though, so I can't really attest to its ability to teach you the technique. But the game is way too cool anyways. This is perhaps the closest the Guitarcade comes to just a true game that is controlled by the guitar, rather than just a learning assistant. It gets a well fucking done where's the sequel from me. There are actually those two others also. Score Attack. Okay, so I'm gonna bitch for a second. There are two ways to get to Score Attack. Clicking the menu item here, or clicking this little bit under the song and learn a song. The only problem is that it's way too easy to accidentally click into it from Learn a Song mode. And then I have to navigate back out of the fucking Guitarcade and all the way back to my previous place, which is never easy because, by the way, I have a guitar in both my fucking hands. It's just frustrating, you understand. Anyways, Score Attack is the alternative to Learn a Song, in which you play the song for points and lose if you fail 3 sections. If I remember correctly, Master Difficulty means you are not shown any notes. Overall, it's just not for my interaction style with Rocksmith. Just nah. Leaderboard Challenges. Take on specific challenges in either games or songs individually to achieve a certain score. Just a way to pad the Guitarcade and cater to those competitive achievement seekers, really. Wow, that took a while. Let's do some lightning rounds really quick. Multiplayer. Better on a TV compared to a monitor. What can I say? It's multiplayer. Except that if you have a friend who's committed enough to play Rocksmith with you regularly, you and them should probably just sit down and switch to real music instead. Tone Designer. Create tones with an entirely digital guitar suite with amps and cabinets and pedals and such. I've used it before and set up tones just for fun, and it's really fun. You can make 4 tones and switch to them at any time. This is a nice way to be creative and really fine-tuning a sound and then trying it out in songs. And it is very helpful to have a clean tone assigned, in case you have some less than pleasurable tones in some songs. Overall, great job again. This is good technology, especially for beginners who don't really know what the equipment they're playing with is or sounds like. Shop. I don't think I have to tell you, you sell your soul here. We are going to talk about DLCs. For now, I'll just say they have individual songs or package deals. Uplay. You know, I've never actually clicked this tab. Let's see here. Really? What a waste of fucking time. Before finally going into Learn a Song mode, let's talk about the other things that you can find on the main menu. 2 things, path/input and tools. Path/input is the place where you set up your guitar input and you choose a path to embark on. Either lead guitar, rhythm guitar, or bass guitar. We went over inputs earlier. You've got real tone cable, mic, or disconnected mode. I play on disconnected mode 90% of the time because it's easier for me to deal with tuning and whatnot nowadays, and I only use Learn a Song mode. But either cable or mic input are both more useful, because then you have access to the rest of the content. Below that, you have your progression rewards, and the spot to change those inlays you earned. In the Tools menu, you have Tools and Difficulty settings, a helpful tool indeed. You can set things like sight reading difficulty, which is wonderful for peeps like me that have bought it twice and don't need the progression anymore. Trust me, Dad, I can play it. Oh God, I'm sorry! You also have another way to get to the Tone Designer for some fucking reason. A tuner, which has all the functionality of Guitar Tuner with none of the convenience. Some options. Another way to get to the store for some fucking reason. A super secret hidden chord book. A super secret hidden technique guide. This is decent stuff. I can't believe they hid this in an options menu. And some player stats. My statistics may be messed up from things that were never really accurate to begin with. I've never really worried about it until now. Moving on. Learn a Song. We have finally arrived at the heart of the game. Well, half of it. The other half is the Ubisoft branded pacemaker keeping it alive. Learn a Song is the advanced tab portion of the game. It's great, honestly, and has become so intuitive for me that it scares me a bit. I am now doing my best to wean myself off from Rocksmith and back to tabs where I started, like a child. Because Learn a Song is such a great and easy way to play, it has taken over my guitar brain. I can see everything I play in Rocksmith notes now. Maybe that's just the long-term effects of all that Guitar Hero back in the day combining with Rocksmith to finally culminate into a real-life problem, but there you go. Learn a Song represents notes on the fretboard as little rectangles on a grid. When they get to you, you hit them. It's just Guitar Hero for real guitar, baby.
It just works.
It is unlike Guitar Hero by not having any arcadey power-up things or bars to fill. So it is more Guitar Hero plus Ultimate Guitar. But that is exactly how it should be. It presents itself as learning software, and damn well intends to teach you how to actually play these songs. And it can. But you might start your favorite song and see that you're only playing the 3-year-old's version. Jock, what is this? Difficulty options. This is Rocksmith's idea of a good time. It starts you off really slow and playing only small bits of the song, and if you keep it up, then it will promote you to getting more of the song, until you eventually either get the entire song maxed out or at your personal difficulty level. It's a good system. Makes a lot of sense, actually. It sucks that you aren't learning the song until you max it out, though. That is why I turned sight reading to max. I know I can't play at all, but I want to know what the notes are anyways, so I can work up to that. I think this may be a common way to do it. But I started with the traditional progression system, and it works great for true beginners. Whatever works best for you. At any point in the song, you can press space and bring up the Riff Repeater. This is a tool to let you practice sections of songs without needing to replay the whole song. It's amazing, especially for learning solos. It is a good idea, well executed. I could say that I would appreciate a marker for tone switches so that I can more easily find my place in the song. Otherwise, though, this is just good technology. There are some funny little things, like Rocksmith not knowing the difference between a palm muted note and an open note. That can make certain songs significantly easier. But trust me, just learn to do the palm mutes anyways. Palm mutes are good for a growing young guitarist. There are some other weird things, and the responsiveness of the game can certainly be questionable for me at the best of times. But overall, this is the butter to my bread, the biscuit to my gravy, the harsh voice in the morning when I wake up. Oh God, no!
I took offense to that.
Vanilla songs. Since I said this was like a Guitar Hero game, then obviously the song list is very important. So here it is. It has a very wide range, which I can appreciate. None of the songs are horrible to play, but some are certainly funner than others for me. That would likely change based on your taste. I've played all of them at one time or another though, and I could say that this is a pretty strong list. Unlockable songs. As you make Dad happier by learning all his lame lessons and shit, he will reward you with records from the attic. DLC. But let's say you want to add to the list more. You could spend money, of course. Rocksmith will teach you songs by the artists that you want to learn. For money. That is the real advantage for Ubisoft here. Buying Rocksmith songs feels like shit. It feels so expensive. It's not that I don't think they put a lot of work into the official DLCs. The tones that are included sound amazing, and the tabs are usually pretty top-notch. You may find some songs that are tabbed differently if you already know them, but you could play the version you know as long as it is truly correct. Rocksmith might count it wrong no matter what you do, especially on lower tunings. I don't really know where my negative feelings for DLC come from, but I get all excited and spend $10 on Rocksmith DLC, then 10 minutes and 3 songs later, I'm sitting there after trying them out with pure regret. I've never not regretted a Rocksmith purchase. It's weird. It may be because you never know how fun a song will be to play until you play it, so it's good to search the song beforehand to see if it'll be a challenge or not, which means you'll learn the song. So why then buy it? The way that DLC is handled just feels so weird, grimy, even though I respect what they're doing so much. I just don't know about the value. It is very nice to have the classics tabbed out by professionals, but in my opinion, Rocksmith desperately needs to let me try these songs out before I commit to buying them. Sell them to me. Don't just throw them on top of my library as advertisements, you fucking scum. But I haven't shown you my song list yet. Let's see here. Wait, is it all mods? Always has been. Mods. Shh. Ubisoft might hear us. They apparently get very mad at what I'm about to show you, and I can understand why. But it's still here for now, and honestly, if I have to be really honest, I don't recommend the console versions of this game, if you know what I mean. While the songs cost so damn much, and without mods to add to the song list, this game loses its replayability. At this point, there's no reason to open the game rather than just tabs on Google. Again, the true strength of Rocksmith is to be able to learn the songs that you want to learn. So here's the rules for mods. No stepping on Ubi toes. If they release a DLC for a song, then you won't find a CDLC file for it. Otherwise, it's open season. This is why I'd buy the game. This is why I did buy the game. Modding is so simple. You buy Shrub Rock, and then it just works. You might think I'm kidding, but I'm really not. Shrub Rock is rather necessary as a result. The community at CDLC itself all seem like really cool and nice people. And you can even request songs that don't yet exist. You can add as many songs as you dare under the same song ID, but you might start seeing more crashes with a higher amount of modded songs. Also, the dreaded bonus bass. Ubisoft and the future of the series. In 2016, I thought they'd release a new Rocksmith. In 2018, I thought they would. By now in 2020, I had given up hope, until they announced they were going to stop making DLC. This could be great for the series. It could mean that Ubisoft has sat around long enough on DLC money, and now intends to reel those devs back in and get started on the next Rocksmith. It could mean that. It could also mean that Ubisoft is washing its hands of the whole ordeal. But I really doubt it. I'm sure the game has been so profitable that they want to do it. At the same time, working with the music industry can be hard. Also, they'd have to do backwards compatible DLCs for it, or people would never buy into a new game if it meant losing their current library. I'm not so sure what the future of the series holds, but with 6 years since the original release of the game, and with no new one announced yet, there's kinda never been a better time to buy Rocksmith 2014. With all the mod and community support that it has gained, it's really a wonderful piece of edutainment software that has blossomed into an even better one. We will see what decisions Ubisoft makes with it though. They may not be able to make it an open world survival game, so who knows how much interest they actually have. Regardless, Rocksmith 2014 Remastered has my recommendation as both very fun and perhaps one of the best ways to learn that guitar that's probably sitting there in the corner of your room.
It's an electric guitar. It speaks directly to the soul of the white person. They find it irresistible.
It's not often that this hobby of gaming can teach you real life skills, and I think Rocksmith is a unique example of exactly that. Quick tips! I'm going for tips that are somewhat unique and that you can't necessarily easily get from other beginner sources. If I find any more I think are important, I'll be sure to put them in a pinned comment as well. So to start, when fretting a note, place your finger down either directly in the middle of the fret or towards the fret wire in the direction of the bridge. The other fret wire, in the direction of the headstock, does not achieve as good of a tone, in my opinion. I'd recommend getting used to fretting in this green zone for every fret that you can. Posture and hand placement is everything, especially at the beginning. You must shape your hand muscles to be comfortable around the fretboard. It won't be comfortable at first, but your hand will adjust as you strengthen those muscles. And you will slowly learn about your own personal preference and neck size and type, which will help. Don't be a bastard, especially when using Rocksmith. Learn the rhythm and strumming patterns for songs instead of spamming chords like a slimy cheater. On the same note, do those palm mutes and harmonics properly. Your preferred pick size is not likely to be your favorite color. I'm sorry, it's a hard lesson we all learn. Don't be afraid to be unique. If there's something you want to achieve with an instrument, don't let anybody else's preconceived notions of how to play it get in the way. In my opinion, if you could play it in a unique way, and it's making the noise you intend it to make, then fuck yeah! Stay humble. I saw some twat on the internet the other day claiming they were better than Tom Morello because they could play some shitty 12-bar blues. Don't be like them. Stay humble and be open to learning. You are not better than Tom Morello. And if you actually are, you aren't going to convince anybody with that fucking attitude. And finally, get into it. You'll occasionally see guitarists do something along lines of this. That means it's working. Good luck, and thanks for watching.